Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing a little bit about our experience on the Keys to the Kingdom tour in Magic Kingdom. My husband and I just did the tour on our 15-year anniversary trip. I have all the vlogs, I'll link them below if you want to see our trip. It was amazing. It was our first time going, just the two of us without our kids. So we were able to do a lot of stuff that we normally wouldn't do, including the Keys to the Kingdom tour. So first of all, I'm just gonna kind of go through and give my review of it, whether I think it's worth the money, a little bit of information about it without spoilers. I don't want to ruin anything. It's a pretty expensive tour. I don't want to give anything away or ruin any magic or anything like that. So this is going to be totally basic, non-spoiler info. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to give some background information. So if you're not familiar, the Keys to the Kingdom tour is a behind-the-scenes tour of Magic Kingdom. Taking this info directly from Disney's website. It is for adults. You have to be 16 or older to do it. It's $114 per person, not including tax. So it is a little bit pricey. So I will talk today about whether I think it is worth that price or not. It starts in the morning. There are 3 different times that you could start, either 8, 8:30 or 9:30. You have to be there for your time. If you're late, you're just out of luck. I don't think they give refunds, and you can't join the tour like after it has already started. I don't think so. Yeah, you have to be there on time. We made sure we were there like a half hour early. As soon as we could get into Magic Kingdom, we were there. So it says, unlock the fascinating history of Magic Kingdom Park and gain access to backstage legendary hidden areas. So it is 5 hours long. It's a very long. It says explore secret locations you've always wondered about and get the inside scoop on some of your favorite attractions. And there's kind of like a list of rules and regulations on the website. So if you're interested, you can just Google Keys to the Kingdom tour and go to Disney's website and find all that information there too. Just to give a little bit more information about kind of the requirements and things. The cost of the tour, the $114, that's in addition to paying your park entry. So including that park entry, it's pretty pricey. We went ahead and just stayed until fireworks after the tour too. So felt like we were getting our money's worth. But yes, it is pretty expensive. And another thing to note is they're very, very strict about this rule. There are absolutely no cameras, no phones allowed. When you are on stage, like in all the areas of the park that there are other guests, they definitely don't let you have it out, but they're a little bit more lenient. There was one time where our tour guide was speaking and somebody pulled out their camera and tried to sneak and take a selfie, like because the castle was behind us, and she has eyes on the back of her head. She saw it. We all were wearing name tags, so she called the person out in front of everyone and said, there's absolutely no phones can be out. And so don't try to sneak it out because they will figure it out. But if you're backstage, there's like a no tolerance policy. She said if she saw a single phone out, she would have to stop the tour and take us all back, and we wouldn't get to see the fun stuff, the backstage stuff. That's what I was the most excited for. So luckily, that one time was the only time she ever had to say anything. I think it kind of made an example of that woman. I think everybody else was kind of like, oh, she's not joking. Like, we better not take our phones out. But yeah, we do have bathroom breaks and lunch breaks. So during those times, she said it is okay to have them out. But other than that, they have to be put away. It's tempting to want to take pictures of everything, but you don't want to ruin anything for anyone else. So, and then like I said, lunch is provided. It's provided in the cost of the tour. So we got there at 8:30 in the morning. You checked in at Town Square, I believe. I think that's where. And right then they showed us a menu. We got to eat at Pecos Bill's, which I love Pecos Bill's. I was very excited about that. I have heard that sometimes you eat at Columbia Harbor House, so I'm not sure, your mileage may vary there. I know the tour is not exactly the same every time, I've heard. But we just were able to give our lunch order there, and it was really nice. We went in, they had a whole section of the restaurant blocked off for us, and everybody's food was already sitting there with our name tags and our drinks and everything, and there was a bunch of different condiments and toppings that we could use. So I just thought that was nice, because if you've ever eaten lunch at Pecos Bill's or any quick service places around lunchtime, you know it can be a real struggle just trying to find a chair. So it's not like they send you off on your own to get lunch. Like, they have it all laid out for you, ready to go. That was nice. And just a quick side note, I am halfway through a pregnancy right now. I don't know what, I couldn't think of that word. I'm like 21 weeks pregnant, and I'm really to that point where I can't speak without getting out of breath. So I say that in all of my videos lately, but bear with me. Okay, so I had heard a little bit of info before the tour. I really didn't want to know a lot, which is why I'm also not sharing too many details today, because I wanted to keep it kind of a surprise to see what all would be going on during the tour. But I had heard different things, that the tour kind of focuses on different lands sometimes. And that was kind of the case for us. I feel like we spent a lot of time in all of the different lands, except we didn't really go into Fantasyland a lot. We spent a lot of time in all the other lands though. So I was expecting, I had kind of heard like, oh, you're either gonna get Adventureland or you're gonna get Liberty Square, and most of the tour is gonna be focused on that. But that's not really the case. We went to all the lands, like I said, I believe. Oh wait, maybe, you know what? We didn't go to Tomorrowland either, now that I think about it. They would talk about it and stuff, but we didn't actually tour inside of those lands. But it was a pretty good view of most of the park, I would say. And in addition to those lands, you do get to go backstage a couple of times. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say that you also get to go into the utilidors, which is like the, it's not really underground. It's like the first floor, and everything in Magic Kingdom is built above it. But you do get to go into basically everybody calls it the underground tunnels, the utilidors. And I had kind of just expected to pop in there and see a couple things and pop out, but we were there for like a good hour, I would say, walking around and seeing different things. So that was the highlight. That was obviously what I was looking most forward to, and it was pretty cool to see it all too. Another cool thing that I thought kind of made it worth the price, it added a little bit of value to the tour, was that you do get to ride 2 rides. I'm not sure if it's the same rides every time, and again, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to say which rides we got to ride, but it wasn't even like you had to wait in like a fast pass line or anything like that. It's like they take you in a back entrance or pull some strings and get you right on the ride. And one of the 2 rides that we rode, it was really cool because our tour guide kind of narrated things and gave us a whole bunch of history during the ride. The other one, she just was like, I'm just gonna be quiet and let you enjoy the ride. And she kind of talked about it before and afterwards. But that was pretty cool. Like, usually even if you wait in the Lightning Lane line, you're waiting at least 10 or 15 minutes, but it was just like, boom, we walked right on. So that was a highlight. And one of the questions I had before going into the tour was how much walking is going to be involved. Is it gonna be strenuous? I guess mostly because we were going in July, and again, I'm pregnant. So I just didn't want to get too tired during the tour. And there was a lot of walking. I should have kept track with my Apple Watch to see how many miles it was. I'm not sure exactly, but it was a lot of walking, and it was pretty hot in some places, but our tour guide, I felt, walked nice and not too slow, but slow enough that I wasn't getting winded or tired or anything. And she did also, whenever there was any chance for us to get into the shade, or even some air conditioning for a few minutes, she would do that too. So overall, physically, even going in the middle of July, it wasn't too bad. And also I wanted to mention too, it was kind of nice because everybody got like an earpiece to listen to. So our tour guide had a microphone that was connected to all of our earpieces. So you could hear really well everything she was saying. There was no issues with not being able to hear anything. And there was even one part of the tour where some people that, you know, had not paid for the tour were kind of gathering around, and she said, I'm gonna start talking really quietly because I don't want everyone to hear me, you know, with this secret info and stuff. So I thought that was kind of funny, but it was kind of nice because we could all walk and our tour guide could be facing, you know, the opposite direction, and she's still talking and giving us history the whole time, and we were able to hear it just fine. So that was something else I thought was great. Another thing that I wondered about before the tour was, am I gonna learn anything new? Which sounds funny because I'm just such a huge Disney nerd, and I know a lot of the history. I've watched a lot of shows. I remember being little and like seeing, I don't even know what show it was, but there would be like reruns on the Disney Channel late at night of I remember watching like something about the backstory of the Haunted Mansion and how it worked and things like that. I don't know if it was like an old Wonderful World of Disney episode or what, but I specifically remember that and being so blown away. And so even as a little girl, I was always into Disney history. I've read books, I've, you know, like I said, watched all the shows, I've watched a million YouTube videos, and I was honestly a little worried, like I'm gonna pay for this tour and I'm not gonna learn anything new, which was probably a little silly of me. And the tour started in the first maybe hour, maybe not quite hour, maybe like 45 minutes. It was all kind of information that I already knew, and I started to get nervous, like, oh no, like I'm not gonna learn anything today. But as the tour went on, we kind of went more and more in depth and learned all kinds of just really specific things about different attractions and history. And I learned a ton of new things and just got a new appreciation for everything. So I think even if you are a big Disney history buff, I think you would still learn a lot on the tour. And I cannot make this video without shouting out our tour guide. We had Priscilla as our tour guide. I think a lot of the guides are like higher up people that work for, oh my gosh, the word is escaping me. Guest services, guest services. So it's like higher up people that have worked for guest services a long time, which was the case with our tour guide. And she was amazing. She knew everything, and she was funny, and she, you know, it's not like you got bored listening to her voice. She was very interesting for the whole 5 hours, and to be able to talk for 5 hours and still have people hanging off your every word, I think that's a special person. So, and I told Luke, I'm like, if I could have any job at Disney World, it would be leading those tours for Keys to the Kingdom, because I'm, you know, like I said, such a Disney history buff, and I think it'd be so fun, but I don't think I have the personality for it. I don't know if I could have people hanging off of my word for every word for 5 hours. But anyway, she was amazing. I'm sure they're all great, but yeah, definitely a highlight. Didn't have any complaints at all. I loved listening to all of her stories and all of her information. Okay, so probably the most important question is it worth the price? And I think that definitely depends on the person. I don't think like my mom or my sister, who have no interest in Disney, don't understand at all why our family continues to go. I wouldn't tell them like, no, obviously don't pay $114 for this tour. But for anyone that is interested in Disney history, if you want to see behind the magic, see how things work, if you want to see those backstage areas, I mean, we saw some pretty cool stuff. Like I said, no spoilers. I don't want to say what it was, but anyone who is interested, I think absolutely it is worth that price. Like I would pay it again, and I would do it again, maybe in a few years when I've forgotten some of the information, but I think it was 100% worth the price. I think my husband and I were both pretty happy with it. And, yeah, I just felt like I learned a lot, and it was just really cool to see backstage, because I mean, when else do you have a chance to do that? I mean, I did it in high school too, because I was in show choir, and our show choir got to perform at the Magic Kingdom, and we got to go backstage too. So that's twice in my life, and I am very thankful for both times. But if you're not in high school show choir or something, you know, really specific like that, definitely definitely worth the price to see just those backstage areas too. So I think that's all of the information I can think of. Hopefully that answers some questions for you if you are thinking about going on the Keys to the Kingdom tour. As I was making this video, I thought about one more question I had, so I'm going to cut in here really quick. And the question was, my husband was wondering, is he still going to be able to get a virtual queue for Tron? And actually the day of the tour, his time ended up being early, and we missed it. But after the tour, they totally took care of it. They just gave him a later time, so that shouldn't be a concern. They should be able to work things out for you. At least in our case, they did, so that you can do the tour and you'll be able to ride Tron. If you have any questions that I didn't address, please leave them down below and I will do my best to get back to you. And I'll be sharing more Disney content soon. We're going to be going on another trip soon, and I'll be sharing some vlogs and some prep and packing for that. So if that kind of thing interests you, go ahead and subscribe, and thank you guys so much for watching.